Wait, how are you guys doing your piping for systems?
Are you also in systems?
Yeah. So, are you?
You've done systems.
He's taking grad algo and systems.
I'm not taking grad.
Or regular algo and systems.
Regular algo is harder than grad algo.
Yeah, just great.
All right. General announcements. How many people have been kicked out of the Slack?
I was.
You're back in. All right. Everybody email me that you've been kicked out. You have to fill out the census, and then we'll let you back in. Yeah, that's check the Slack. There's lots of announcements there. Another thing is we're gonna be having a mixer with Tamid this Thursday at 6:30. You guys are welcome to come to that. And KTP, which is Martin's frat, tech frat. We're gonna be playing Jeopardy, which is always a good time. Been doing that for since I've been here at least. It's always a lot of fun. So hope to see you all there. React to my message in software. I added a channel there. And yeah. Wyatt's gonna present the slides, and then I'll be back up for the demo.
Okay, so now this week we're doing the front end. Wow, amazing! Everybody loves the front end. Lots of CSS. Actually, hopefully, if you're lucky, not that much CSS, because we have a nice design where you don't have to do a lot of that. Anyways, speaking of CSS, what is a front end? I'm sure some of you might be familiar with this. Basically, just a user interface, right? Like what you see when you're on any website. It's composed of HTML, which is basically like a sort of markdown type of language, right? It's interpreted by the browser and allows it to know like different text sizes, stuff like that. CSS allows you to, customize this HTML, make it look nice, give you some nice, boxes like you see here. And then for like functionality and stuff, right, you have TypeScript or JavaScript, which allow you to do things like have your website, update values and do any sort of logical stuff. That is really specific to the front end. And then also, we're going to be using React to manage the front end and make HTML, CSS, and TypeScript all sort of come together and make a little more sense together. So our design, Peyton's design of the front end. So we have like your home page where you'll have your about section, photo of you. You can have like projects, and as you can see here, like you guys I think have already implemented, right, like your backend stuff, being able to add projects, and this is going to allow you to add projects through UI only. So like once you've already essentially created your end app, if you wanted to, you could never touch any of the code again and still like dynamically update your projects and your experiences all just from the front end. And that's kind of the beauty of using React and not just like CSS and HTML and like having to hard code everything, right? So what is React? It's a JavaScript library, right, for building user interfaces. And the main part of React is being able to create reusable components that are easy to read and maintain. These components usually consist of HTML or other components, right? CSS and JavaScript or TypeScript in our case. Yeah, and React also has a large community of developers, right? And because of this component-like structure, you're able to take advantage of that. So you're able to very easily integrate maybe somebody else's component that they've made into your application. So my favorite part of React, and the hardest part to understand for me personally, was React hooks. So, they essentially just allow us to manage state. So here we actually have an example of a using one of React's built-in hooks, use state. So use state will be assigned to this little array here. You have a recipient ID and set recipient ID. So kind of seems like you have like two variables there. But really you have like a variable recipient ID, right? Which is kind of mapped to this list here of different friends, from the show friends, right? And down here at the bottom, you can kind of see what we were talking about with the HTML-like return values of these components, which are essentially just functions, right? So it's returning as you can see, it's very readable. You just have a circle here, which, because it's uppercase, you can kind of tell that it is also a React component that you would have to make. And then we have this color where you're taking in, where the circle is taking in a color, right? And we're just giving the circle a color as a string, right? So it can either be green or red. And you can see this is actually some logic, which is in TypeScript, JavaScript, that React allows us to do while we're building the structure, the visual structure through HTML in the front end. So what this is it's a ternary operator. So we have a Boolean value, is recipient online, which is just true or false. And whenever this Boolean value is true, then you enter green. If it's false, then you enter red, right? And this is just like a is recipient online like status symbol, status circle. Here, it's a little bit complicated, right? You have a select component, which will just think of this as that part as just a drop down. So whenever you press the select, it will drop down that list of friends, and whatever you select in that list of friends will then call on change, right? So when you select a, can anybody see this? Yeah. Okay. When you select on change, what do people think it does, right? So you have this selectable menu, and you have you can choose from Phoebe, Rachel, and Ross, and it looks like, yeah, so we're mapping each friend onto an option, right? And each friend has a name, and we're just displaying the name in the front end. So you can choose from Phoebe, Rachel, Ross. If you choose Rachel, what happens when you select that? Guesses? Confusions?
Sets recipient ID to that ID.
Yeah. So calls the set recipient ID function in this use state, and it will, what this function does is it just changes that value, that recipient ID, to whatever was chosen, right? So if you chose Rachel, the recipient ID would become 2. As you can see, you're passing in that in right there. So the target here would be whatever option you have, which is the key in the list. Essentially, you've changed the recipient ID. When you change the recipient ID, because you're using use state, React will know to update. Well, it will pass that recipient ID in here, and React will know to update this recipient online Boolean, right? Now, like, how does React know that? It's because this use friend status, we can also tell is a hook, right? Because all the hooks begin with that use keyword, right? Basically, what they allow you to do is have values, variables in the front end in your HTML that will change when you call a certain function. So like when you're making a call to the back end to get a new project, your hook will let your HTML know that you have a new project in there, and then you can display it. That's the basics of it. They also allow you to pass down variables through context, right? So like one example of that is user authorization, right? So you don't want anybody else like being able to customize your website. And how we do that is through a hook that ensures that the user authorization is true, like you're an authorized user, and then that will pass it down through any component. So like, we'll get to better examples of that later on. So talked a lot about components already, but here is sort of an example of that. So one of the really good things about React components is it allows us to split up, the logic of our HTML into reusable pieces, reusable functions in our case. And whenever you see that component in your code, you'll know exactly, like if you've written that component, you'll know exactly what it does, and you can reuse it multiple times. It makes your HTML a lot more readable. And that's opposed to putting everything in just a giant HTML file, a bunch of logic in one component, or just one HTML file, which would be very hard to read. So here we have an example of a component we made that takes in and this is a function, right? Components are functions, how we write them. You take in a message, a title, and a number. And then you have some CSS here, which just styles the text that you're rendering, which is the title. And then a little printout for message and dash number. So what this will render when you use your component as a tag in your app, it will render that something that looks like this on this side. So as you can see, this is an example from the previous solution. So you have your title here. This is your message input, and this is your number. Make sense, everybody? Okay, cool. So here we have a React component has a title once again, but this time you have one of these ternary operators again, right? If the show author is true, then you just say by, like the author name. If it's false, then you put literally by author. Maybe it'd make more sense to just put nothing, but in this case, we're displaying two separate tags here, depending upon that show author variable. So when you use that component, again, you can see here, here you're using it 3 times. The first time you don't want to give, read any credit. So you put the show author to false. And just as the component promised us, promised us by actually reading it. When that show author is false, it will just print out by author. For all the other authors, we actually show their name.
He's up there with the greats.
Yes. So, any confusions on stuff so far? Okay. So, yeah, just to recap, right? Components, basically just functions that return HTML and can take in values and update dynamically. So now that we kind of have that down, we can use Material UI. It's a library for React components. They're essentially just pre-styled components for us, right? There's two main ones that you'll see and probably use, which are box, which is, anybody know what a div is? Can I explain that? Martin.
Container, you can put stuff in there. You can also style the div as well.
Yes.
Basic HTML tag.
Yeah. So it's like the most basic HTML tag, just a box, you put stuff in it, right? The Material UI box is basically just a div, but it allows us to inherit our app theme, which is really useful if you dislike using CSS often. So as you can see here, so here we're using box to contain all of like the error messages or all of the error page, right? Which you'll learn about later, but it's just like when there's an error on the app, we want to be able to show the user the error. Like we do this in finish line, right? Because if the business team or whatever is using finish line, there's an error, we want to be able to know what happened, so they'll send us a screenshot. Same thing, you'll have the same thing for your page. I think this is given to you. So this box encapsulates all of the error page logic. And the box is able to inherit theme, which is a Material UI, which we're able to use from Material UI and is able to inherit this theme. So if you have a certain style of font that you want to use, if you want to style, your palette, you have like dark mode or whatever, you're able to inherit that theme wherever, in whatever component is within your theme provider, right? And theme provider we use from Material UI. So whatever, so for example, the error page is inside of the public app.
Theme provider is an example of what?
Context. Yeah, so theme is passed into that theme provider, and if the components inside it are able to update based on that theme. So you have app public, which has this error page in it, and the box will now, this typography, it's, let's see, it's header 3. And well, if we had a header 3 style here, then it would be, if you wanted to add a header 3 style to your theme, then it would be inheriting that. So the other component in Material UI that we use a lot is container. Container is just the same thing as box. It's able to inherit the themes, but it centers its content horizontally. So basically, this is just using inspect element, right? You can see, and this is for the error page. So you can see that, oh yeah, so the error page usually uses box, right? But if we were to use container, then it would, it has a box that encapsulates everything, that puts the title and then like the little subheader here on the left side because it's inside of the box. But what's also inside the box is the container, which has padding on either side to center that content. As you can see, using box, it's not centered. Yeah, talked about that. Current structure of the front end, right? So you have a public app that sort of encapsulates the login page and your app authenticated component. So the reason that we have this app authenticated is anything within that app authenticated tag, right? We only want to have accessible if you're a user that's authenticated, right? And inside of that, we have all of our accessible, all of our page components, which themselves can be made up of other components. So finally, some stuff to actually work on. So if we wanted to create something like, project one that we're working on, like maybe you're going to add this to your website, this personal website as a project on your personal website, you can do it here, right? And there's images and there's text and there's an outline, and it lights up right there when you hover over it. Wait, you took it out?
I forgot if I added the drop shadow.
Oh yeah, yeah. And how do we do this? Well, we can use stuff from Material UI. So they have very nice, very clean docs, probably made with React, I would hope. And you find a bunch of stuff on here. I think we use, what do we use, Peyton? What do you use? One of the cards.
Yeah, they're all cards. They're just different stuff.
Yeah, so you're just using a card. This one probably looks the closest. You would just have to extend the bottom. And then, yeah, cool stuff.
All right, thank you, Wyatt. Any questions for Wyatt? Anything we went over? No? What's up?
How would you override the styles built into the components or MUI?
If you want to override the styles of any of these things, you can add a prop here titled SX. We'll go over that. Yeah, you add a prop here called SX, and in here you can pass in a style object of anything you want to override the styles there. All right, everybody up to date on Launchpad. You guys have had 2 whole weeks to finish the back end, so I hope everyone's doing good with their projects and experiences, and tests. So yeah, let me get this up. There we go. So, I don't know why my tests are upset. We're going to be working in the front end now, and you'll see all these different folders. Is that big enough, or is it too small? It looks fine. You're going to see all these different folders. See an app. This is where our app context, our app authenticated, all these things are declared. We're not going to worry about those. We're going to be going into pages, and you'll see you're given kind of the skeleton of the home page and the login page. But today we're going to be focusing together on the project page. So we're going to make a new folder called project page. And we're going to start. We can declare it in components or in project page. I'm probably going to keep in project page. We're going to make a project card.tsx. So TSX is the file extension for a TypeScript React component. Similarly, there is JSX for a JavaScript React component. But you do need that TSX extension for VS Code to know what you're doing. And like Wyatt said, all React components are functions. So we can declare a function with our arrow notation like that. And we want to make sure that our component is capitalized. That's a React convention that we need to adhere to. And our project card is going to need some things passed into them, like the project. So we can declare that with an interface. And we're going to say project card props is pretty standard to just say the title of the name and then props. And we're going to say in here, we need a project, which is going to be our shared project type. So make sure you get that import project from shared. And that should be pretty much everything. And then in here, we can declare project as type project card props. So anybody have any questions on that syntax? We're declaring an object that has a project in it, and we're saying that we're going to be passing that object right here. And this is destructuring the values out of it so you can access them here. So you have all your values in here. So let's take a look again at what we are actually creating. Like Wyatt said, we're going to be using movie cards. And we know generally we're going to have either a box or a container that represents the card itself. Well, actually, we'll have the card that represents the card itself. But that'll be separated into two different boxes. And we'll see how to do that actually by looking at the docs. So like Wyatt said, this one kind of looks like the most of what we want. Well, actually, we don't need the buttons, but we just want a picture with text, with a title and text underneath it. This is actually pretty similar too, but we don't really need the header. So let's see. This one looks pretty good, right? Yeah. Well, we might want the footer, but this is fine. So what you can do is you can press this show code here, and people don't know where I am. You can go to movie.com/Ratuga, right? I'm going to copy and paste the link into Slack. So where is software Launchpad? Just can go to that link to check it out. And we're going to take this code, yoink. I'm going to copy it here for the time being. But what we want is we want this card section. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to delete that. And then we're going to see we're getting all these errors. Why are we getting these errors? You can tell me why we're getting these errors. Would it help if I hover over it? It says cannot find name card. Yeah, we have to import all this stuff. So if you have your IntelliSense set up correctly, you can do that with just deleting the last letter and then re-entering the last letter. And as long as you've npm installed, all this stuff should show up. Where did all that stuff come from? If you go to the link that I sent in Software Launchpad, it's just the inside of this component here, which is the lizard with no buttons underneath it, or the primary action thing. But yeah, this also allows you, I think, to click it is what that primary action does. We can keep that for the time being because we might want to click on it to edit it. But we can also change that depending on exactly what we want. Okay. So what is it that we next need? We need our title to be the title of our project. So this is easy enough. This looks like the title. So we're going to change this to be project dot title. And then again, we just want the description, which is very similar to this. So we can just delete that. We can say project dot description. And that's pretty good. And then here we need our image. This is kind of one of the harder parts because this is the first part where we have to interact with our API. And the way that we do that is through a URL. In fact, I want to keep this as this, or yeah, I think I do. And let's see if I can remember the exact syntax here. I don't think I can. I think I might have to see what the syntax is. But yeah, so don't mind me cheating, but I can't fully remember what the syntax is. I think it's, oh no, I didn't. I just used that. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So I'm back here. These will go away eventually. But I'm going to do that and then do that to open that up. And then this is HTML syntax, but you can either end a component with just, if it doesn't have any children, you can just end it with a slash. But if it does have children, you need to make a closing tag to mark where it closes. And in here, we need to set an image with source equals, did I give you guys this? Image URLs? No, I didn't. Or did I did give you, did I give you? No. I do. Okay. There we go. You guys should have this URL.images here, and we're going to pass in our project.image URLs. And for now, we're just going to say the first one. And then this is how many children, so we're going to do that there. Ideally, what I initially had was an image carousel, but I thought that would be a little bit too complicated to go over here. So if you want, this is another improvement. You could add support for being able to like swipe through the images on the project. But for now, we're just going to say that we're going to take the first image. And here, we're just going to say project image is project image or something. Doesn't really matter. All right. Now we want to see what this looks like. So for now, what we're going to do is use our home page. And in here, we're going to import our project. Let's see. We're going to import our project card, but it doesn't want to give me that IntelliSense. Oh, that's because I never. At the bottom of the project card, right here, we need to export it. And if you only have one component, just export it as the default. Is the easiest. All right, mad at me because I'm not using that. And in here, we need to pass in the project. And we know what the project looks like because we have a shared version. But I'm going to pass in some fake data here. So we know what we need from our shared project. We need an ID, which for now is just going to be an empty string, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't really matter. Title, we're going to say project 1. Description, world's best project. URL. https://www.google.com. I made Google. That's how awesome I am. Skills, D Python. There we go. created at. Just say new date. And then creator is an object. We defined that before. Here we need ID. I actually don't care about this right now. Email. Username. Role. That needs to be admin. Okay, I just say role dot admin. There we go. Image URL. This I'm going to. It'll be easier to do images when you've actually uploaded them, but I think I do have some images here. Ah, there we go. I am a software engineer. You guys can drag and drop some sort of image in here and then copy the name. And then you either have to add /uploads or not. I think we'll figure that out in 5 seconds. Title. Oh my goodness. There we go. And then we're missing that, and we're missing image URLs and updated at. So image URLs. Once again, I'm just going to take this. What was the last thing? Missing what? Property updated at. Oh, you guys don't have that. There we go. Copy used as a JSX component is not a valid JSX element. Is that because I didn't return it? Yeah. Return. There we go. And now if I yarn Prisma reset, I think I also have to yarn test teardown from last time. There we go. And I yarn start. And I go to localhost 4000. Look at that. Failed to resolve entry shared. I think you guys all got this error before too, didn't you? If you do get that error, remember to delete your node modules and then just yarn install again. Hopefully this won't take too long. The front end. Here we go. I could have sworn I got rid of this issue. I've never seen this before. Hopefully you guys do not get this issue.
Let me go back here in case you guys need to copy more stuff down. But in the meantime, we can look. We need to add some more things to this anyways. We need our GitHub URL and our skills at the bottom of the page. So what we can do, let's see. Start. Oh my goodness. It's crazy. JSON. What? How did I not? How did I not catch that before? Okay, that's crazy. Do you guys here in your package JSON in your shared directory? Does your main say index.d.ts? Are you kidding me? Do you have index.ts? All right, you guys are gonna have to change that to either change this to be index.d.ts or change your package.json to be index.ts. That's actually insane that is happening. But let's see. I think I may need to. Unknown error. Wow, so helpful. Interesting. Error connection refused.
It says server listening on port undefined in the terminal.
It does say that, doesn't it? Did I mess something up when I did this? Is it upset about that? The glory of NodeMon, don't fail me. There we go. Finally. Well, why are these happening now? This is insane. How is this not happening before? Well, now I'm getting internal server errors. This is insane. Utterly insane. What? How is this not happening before? This is crazy. There we go. Okay. All right. That's interesting. But if I log in now, we're going to get image is a void element. Interesting. Tag and must neither have children nor dangerously set inner HTML tag. Wow, I did not know that actually. So in your project card, I guess you can't do this with image, can you? You have to do that? Is that what that's saying? I think that's what that's saying. No, that's not what that's saying. Wow, this is sad. This is very sad. I can't declare an image. what happens if I just do this? And then log in. There we go. Okay. Well, we have part of it now. But you can see now you can log in. How many other people encountered the same things that I just encountered? Which part?
I have the server listening underscore undefined.
Okay. Everyone in your index.ts in your backend on this line, the first, like the 11th line in the thing, just delete process.env and then delete the curly braces. So it looks like that. Anybody else? Any issues? Yeah. This is cool. This is just the debugging, getting the thing actually working session, I guess.
I got credit card cannot be used as a JSX.
Yeah, you're probably missing a return statement. I was missing that too. Just throw a return before your card. It would actually tell you that if you type this as a JSX.element here and then deleted that, TypeScript would yell at you and it would say you need to return that. But I was lazy and didn't do that, and I paid the price. Okay. Everybody else able to go to their home and log in?
I just get like a rotating square, like a square animation.
Yeah, if you open your console, like inspect, and then go to your console here. Oh, that's another thing. Does everybody know about like dev tools on like browsers where you can like inspect element and look at the source code? So yeah, you can go to that and you can look at console and it'll probably be telling you an error of some sort over here. So like I debugged mine by seeing that I was getting errors in the console here. I was able to figure it out from that. Okay. Good. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with this image thing. It's kind of crazy. I've never seen that error before. You ever seen that error before? Dangerously set inner tag.
I think it's because card media is technically an English component.
Oh, you think it's card media? So okay, let's just delete card media and let's just do box. I think card media is you can't have children in it, which is why I was getting that error. Unless it was about this. Oh no, it was probably about the.
I think it's because you set it as a component.
Oh yeah, maybe. Well, interesting. And we're getting nothing showing up here, probably because this needs to be upload / that. Let's go. There we go. There's our image. There's our image right there. I am a software engine. That's right. So obviously this doesn't look like what we want it to look like. And this is where CSS is going to come into play big time. So we could say this max width looks fine for now. But we want our height to be, I don't know, let's say we want it to be like 3 times the width, right? So we'll just say 900, 9,000. We can see, there we go. Now it goes down. But you could also do like, chances this works. I don't think it's gonna work. I always struggle with the 100% and they never work for me. Yeah, they don't. You do what? 100 VH? Oh, that's pretty cool. But we have a header. So we can say like 80 VH. Right? Oh, look at that. Look how perfect that fits in there. Wow. You got some true front end engineers over here. CSS is the kind of thing where like you'll go on Stack Overflow and you'll see like how to center a div, and then you'll see comments which is like I've been to this post about 50 times because you look it up how to do it. ChatGPT is really good at CSS sometimes, the basic CSS. But yeah, I've asked ChatGPT about that so many times. And we can see our card action area is a little weird, so we can also say this. Now we can definitely say height 100%. And there we go. Now we're getting some crazy stuff. Okay, how much time do we have left? 5 minutes. I do want to go over React Query instead of doing the CSS here. Yeah. What about responsive design? Does view height not respond? Well, you need a min width. Eventually, it's just gonna look like crap. But I mean, you could make it larger. I like whenever I make components, it makes sense to have a min width for sure, because then things just start looking stupid and you want to start scrolling. But you can also do percentages. I like working in percentages of the screen, and then view height and view width are the same thing. But we're gonna go over right now. We're just passing this in as just a fake data, and we want to use our backend that we worked on. So we're gonna make a new API called project.api.ts, and in here we're going to be exporting const get projects. So this kind of mimics our API. We don't need anything. And in here, we're going to return Axios. Why is Axios? Import. Well, I have a from. Where's my Axios file? Is this defaulted export or no? Okay, it is. You have this Axios built in already. You should all have this, but you can do /utils /Axios. There we go. And you can say Axios.get because it's a get request, and our string is going to be, we have this URLs. This also, where am I? My utils functions don't want to be imported properly for some reason. But say URLs dot, and now we're going to have to go into our URLs and add the URL that we created. So we're going to add a project section, and we're going to say const projects equals our base URL plus /projects. And why is this? What is this URL pointing to? So it'll be localhost 4001 /projects. Yeah. Yeah, it's pointing to the projects router. So when we declare in our index.ts that we have our projects router on /projects, this is where this is going to hit. And then in our projects router, it's just going to be on / because we don't have any other paths, which is our get all projects endpoint. Sweet. So now we can say URL.projects, and that's pretty much it. We may need to transform it, but I'm not sure yet. And then in our hooks, we're going to make a hook to be able to use this using React Query. So I'm going to make a projects.hooks.ts file. And in here, we're going to say export const use get all projects equals, and we're going to return a use query, which we're going to import use query. Oh, I'm literally getting no help here. From React query. And we're going to, we're not going to have any query keys. Well, yeah, we don't have any query keys for now. We're not doing any like filtering or anything like that. We're just getting all of them. And in here, our function, actually, we can just say get projects, right? Yeah. Very simple. This is the most efficient use query you've ever seen right here. So what this does, use query is something from React query, which is a React library that we're using to manage state when interacting with our API. So it returns an object that has like is loading, the actual data itself, whether or not there was an error, the error itself, a whole bunch of other things. And it also allows you to like have to specify these query keys. So like if we were doing filtering based off of like the project names or something, if we wanted to like have like a search function, you could add project name as a query key. And every time that that changes on your front end, it's going to automatically refetch the data for you and redo the like is loading or and the data itself, which is really nice. I use it at my job. That's actually what I did this last week, was use React query. So what we're going to do in our homepage for now is we're going to say const data is loading is error and error equals use get all projects. Did I not export it? No, I didn't. I just don't get any help. To import get all projects / hooks / project hooks. What is this upset about? Oh, I misspelled this. Oh, I misspelled the hook itself. I misspelled this file. We're gonna do that like that. And then you guys can console.log all these values if you want to see how they work. But we're gonna say if not, or if is loading or not data, we're going to return our loading indicator, which you guys should all have. And above that, we're going to say if is error, we're going to return our error page. And our error is going to be our error. Just like that. And now, why is this? I thought I just changed that. Is not listed within the file list of project. This is VS Code being stupid because I can literally, yeah, no, this is VS Code being stupid. Unknown. Why is this unknown? Are all these errors unknown? What's going on here? Did they update it in a different version of whatever? What? Yeah. Well, this is just VS Code lying to me. This isn't. Maybe, but you shouldn't have to. Yeah, well, you do that by like here you say this is going to be project, and then error. It's just an error. And you can do that. And then here I'm gonna make this more efficient. This is I've been tainted by JavaScript. No overload matches this call. I've forgotten my syntax. The Axios response. What? Because I need to. Oh, right. I need to do this. Or it's like. Data equals Axios response. Let's see. I have my user API. What does this say? So we'll wait it. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll wait Axios.get const response, return response. Okay. There we go. Okay. That was weird. There we go. Now it's fixed. That is TypeScript. That was all TypeScript. Making sure that everything was okay, which I appreciate TypeScript. But yeah, I think I prefer having the data in the API. Which is what I have it for. I just wasn't awaiting it. And now if I go back to home and then I just say project is data 0. All right, who thinks this is going to work first try? That'd be kind of crazy. Oh, let's go. Kind of worked. Actually, no, it definitely worked. Our project 1 and our description of project 1, which is exactly what we defined in our seed data, where project 1, description of project 1. And now, yeah, so this is interacting with our backend, and you can see if I console, I'm pretty sure I console log the data. Am I filtering out the, no, whoops. Where is it? Oh, I have everything. Where's my data? Oh, I deleted it. Why did I delete it? I don't know. There. We've interacted with our API that we created, which is super cool. Woo! Yeah, so we're going to go over the styling of this next time. You guys should definitely make the hook and the API call for the get experiences. If you want, you can start taking a look at creating the UI for the experience section, which I can post in Launchpad. And then, yeah, next time we're going to finish actually designing this stuff with CSS, because that can be very tedious.
Really? Yeah.